Welcome to the Animal Free Labcast, everyone. I'm back with Dr. Gemma Davis. Hiya, Gemma.
Hi, Carla.
What have we got coming up today?
Well, today we're going to be joined by two very exciting guests. So first up, we have our new Science Community Manager, Dr. Jonathan Sheard, and also our new grant holder, who is the winner of a Dragon's Den style competition at our recent Scottish community event last week, which she'll tell us all about in a minute. And that is Dr. Chloe Rodgers.
Yay. Oh, that was so much fun. We're going to get into that in a minute. Before we talk to Jono and Chloe, tell us the answer from last week's Mythbuster question. You know I'm going to do it, don't you? Myth or fact? Sorry, so bad. Right. So the myth or fact was regulations require animals to be used in every area of research. Myth or fact?
Absolutely. So the results were 72% of people voted that this was a myth. So 28% thought it was a fact. And this one is actually a myth. We talked last time about how there is no legal requirement to use animals in any kind of research in Great Britain. But you might also be interested to know that the majority of research carried out in Great Britain also has no regulatory requirement. So in 2024, over 2.6 million procedures were carried out. That's the most recent statistics we have. We're waiting for the 2025 annual stats, but just 22% of those were required by regulation. So just to give you a bit of background, when we talk about regulations, these are guidelines for things like drug development that are followed by most countries around the world, where regulators like the MHRA or the FDA in the USA request data for certain products. So things like toxicity testing for new drugs, batch safety or potency testing of things like vaccines or even things like Botox, but also products like industrial chemicals. And these kind of tests can include things like the LD50 test. So that's the lethal dose 50 test, where a group of animals is given a substance in increasing doses until 50% of them die. And that's kind of the end point of the experiment. Or things like repeated dose toxicity, where animals are given substances for sort of days, weeks, months to check if they, cause problems over that time, or if they cause things like cancer or reproductive problems. But as I've mentioned, none of these tests are legal requirements. They're just guidelines. And where there is a scientifically acceptable alternative, it must be used legally. So these procedures that are done to meet these kinds of regulations make up less than a quarter of all the procedures that are done every year in British labs. So the vast majority of research that is done in universities and companies is not for regulatory purposes. So that could be either for basic research, which is kind of early stage research to understand things like biological processes or how a disease works, or applied or translational research, which is taking what you find in that basic research and then applying that to, say, finding a new target for a drug to treat a specific disease, and some other very small number of procedures for other things. But none of these types of research have any sort of regulatory or legal requirements. So alternatives can and should be used instead.
Absolutely. Well done to everyone who got that right. And still quite a long way to go until we get those numbers down, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's it. There is no requirement. So they do have a choice to do things in a different way. So it's about kind of educating people what the alternatives are and helping them to embrace that and use it in their research.
Absolutely. Well, that seems like the perfect moment to bring in Jono and Chloe, who are joining us today off the back of an event that we did last week in Glasgow, which was all about bringing together the Scottish community of researchers who are using and wanting to use animal-free research techniques. So we'll say hello to you both. If you could both just say who you are, where you're from, that'd be brilliant. So Jono, let's start with you.
Sure. Hi, Carla. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Chloe. So I'm Jonathan. I'm the Science Community Manager, and I am originally from Zimbabwe and now living in the Midlands.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chloe. I'm a researcher at the University of Glasgow, researching at the moment our focus is on leukemia and looking at new diagnostic kind of tools for that. But then we'll also talk about the research that I will be doing very soon.
Excellent. That's so exciting. So, Jono, you joined our charity back in January. So you've been with us just a few months and you're our science community manager. So tell us a little bit about what that is, because it's a brand new role. We've never had a community manager before.
Yeah, and it's a new role to me as well, Carla. So, as the science community manager, my role is to connect with scientists around the UK and to get to know them, to get to know their work, and to help to understand their work and their models within a human-specific space. So, how is their work actually moving towards a human-specific design? And part of my role as well is to connect these scientists and researchers with other scientists within their region and within the whole of the UK to try and create a community who are connected, communicating, thriving, able to share their work and their research to build up the community into a stronger position of focusing on more human relevant and human specific research.
And this is all part of the Centre for Human Specific Research initiative that listeners might have heard us talking about in the past. Because what we've realised is that although the grants that we've given out for the last 55 years have been fabulous, we can only reach so many people with those. They're large sums of money, and they're only made possible thanks to people listening and to people like you. So we felt like if we had more of a focus on the community and bringing people together to share expertise, to share tips, to educate each other about all of the advances in animal-free human-specific research, we would be able to reach more people than we can just through our grants. So that's what this is all about. And so we had the launch of our first ever regional community last week in Glasgow for our Scottish community. So, Johnny, tell us a little bit about the day and what happened.
So it kicked off with a couple of talks from two of our scientists within the community, so Fiona Saunders and Sarah Camley-Celino up in Aberdeen. And they gave us some quite basic presentations on a warts and all approach. How's their science and their research and their models going, and what are the challenges that they faced? From there, we went on to a roundtable discussion. So their talks gave a great introduction to the challenges that are faced, and that's what we discussed in the roundtables. What are the challenges, and then how can the Centre for Human Specific Research facilitate and enable the researchers to overcome those challenges? And then after that, we had an impact factor pitching session, which is a Dragon's Den style pitching session. We had 6 shortlisted scientists who presented to 4 dragons, and they pitched their projects to be awarded a £12,000 grant. And it was such a fantastic day. The whole series of events worked really well and fed well into each other, and I think it was enjoyed by all of the scientists that joined as well.
We had almost 60 scientists join us for the day, didn't we? So it was really fantastic. And Chloe's here because Chloe was the winner of the Dragon's Den. Yay, Chloe! Congratulations!
Thank you.
The unanimous winner, I should say, as well. Everybody voted for you, all the dragons and the community as well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was so pleased. Also, just shocked as well. I didn't expect to win, and even it reminded me today because I remember before this, he said the winner will need to go on a podcast. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Not thinking I would actually be here. But here I am. So very pleased to be here, and very happy to have won the award.
Oh, well, congratulations, Chloe. Tell us a little bit about your work and the work that you'll be doing with the £12,000 that you won.
So the 3 of us came together to try and come up with a project that we thought was exciting and important for this event specifically, and this is what we came up with. And while we were writing the proposal, we all got very excited about it because it was kind of a little bit new for us all in different aspects of it. And we learned all sorts while researching the different facts about the mice models and what actual human models are available out there. So yeah, it was a really interesting project for all of us to come up with.
And it sparked a bit of rage, didn't it? Because you were explaining that mice would usually be used in women's reproductive health research, so the endometriosis. Yet mice don't menstruate. It just absolutely just, beggars belief why they're being used. There was a lot of rage in the room about that women's health is just really underrepresented and not researched very much anyway. And then you're using mice, which obviously we hate, and also mice don't even bleed in the ways that women do.
It is that was one fact that for all three of us we were very shocked that that's the model for studying women's reproductive health, they don't even menstruate, and there's just so many differences between the mice and human reproductive biology. And then also our model is going to look into the immune response as well, like the immune cells that are present, which has been shown to change throughout the menstrual cycle. And this is also something that's never really been included in the in vitro models, the human versions of them. So that was also something I was a little bit shocked at, that these cells are there and they're obviously doing an important role, but we don't exactly know that much about them, and we don't include them in the models that we use to test different conditions.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's such a, under-researched area. I think I read something earlier that said only about 2% of all research funding goes into women's health. So then when you think about, we're using mice that aren't even similar, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? So it was fantastic to be funding some research into this area.
Well, and also that even if the in vitro models, so the human-specific models that we do have, they aren't fully representative of women's bodies as well. Sounds like it's quite early stages for this kind of research even in a human-specific way.
Yeah, for sure. Because the endometrium is so dynamic, and trying to represent that in the lab is difficult because it changes obviously month to month, and then within that there'll be differences between like what age you are, and so many differences to try and model in the lab. So it is tricky, but definitely we could be doing better for sure.
And in a nutshell, Chloe, just so that listeners at home can understand, my understanding of what you're going to be doing is basically sort of creating an organ on a chip that it kind of vibrates a bit to kind of, this is where you have to take over, but it's trying to simulate what the endometriosis would be like at different points over a month.
Yeah, that's you've summed it up well. So
oh, that's very kind.
Yeah. So our model will involve designing hydrogels that we will put into a microfluidic device, and we will co-culture the various cell types that are in the endometrium. So that's your epithelial cells, your stromal cells, and immune cells. So that's our kind of basic model, but we want to take it further than that and make it dynamic by having the hormone cycling and the mechanical changes. So it's been shown that the endometrium, the stiffness changes throughout the menstrual cycle. So we want to try and replicate that by using mechanical stimulation, and that's in the form, as you said, the vibration. So we've shown that if we vibrate hydrogels, it can change their mechanical properties. So that's what we're going to try and do with this. And then finally, as I said earlier, the other aspect is adding the immune cells into the model.
We just heard Leo there, Gemma's dog. He was clearly outraged that there's not better women's health research.
He is. He's very supportive of your work, Chloe.
So, Chloe, what was it like pitching in front of the dragons then? Because there was 4 of us. I was one of them. There was 3 other people. And then there was obviously this room full of packed people, those 60 scientists. Well, yeah. How did that feel?
Do you know what? I was so nervous. I'm not a very good natural speaker, although I've really been trying to improve on this. So like I think in the past month I presented 3 or 4 times at different things like conferences, and trying to take a step forward into all these experiences that will help me present a little bit better. So, but yeah, all day, because we presented in the afternoon, so all day, like, it's running through my head. I'm trying to listen to all the other great speakers, but it's really hard to concentrate when you're thinking about what you're going to say. And then I think I was the 4th speaker, so I listened to 3 others before, and they were all so good, you know. So I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna say? I'm gonna go blank. But once I got started, it was actually fine. And then there's always a bit of anxiety about what questions you're gonna get, and I won't know anything when it comes to it. But again, it was fine. It's just, you know, that pre-presentation anxiety always is quite hard to regulate. But yeah, I went upstairs during our lunch break, just sat in a little room for 20 minutes on my own so that I could just run through one more time. But yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, but once I got in front of everyone, I was actually okay. And then the dragons were not as scary as I thought they would be, so they were all very supportive. And I felt really good after the questions, because I kind of got this positive feeling that, that you guys understood the project and were enraged as well, which was was good to have that feedback after the presentation. But yeah, I'm really pleased that like I managed to do it, and also by winning it, it's just a nice kind of confidence boost for the next time I'm presenting.
Obviously, I was there in the audience and I saw your presentation, and it really was a fantastic presentation. I was really enthralled by the name of the project. So you started it off with very beautifully illustrated slides, first of all, and you've called the project MEDUSA, and you introduced that, and it gave it quite a different light to how I had understood MEDUSA before. So could you tell me a little bit more about again, why you called it MEDUSA and what it means for the project?
Okay. So I wish I could take credit for the name, but I think it came from Olivia's partner actually helped us out with the acronym. So it stands for Modeling the Endometrium Dynamically Using Silicon-Based Alternatives. And MEDUSA is named after the Greek mythological figure symbolizing complexity and misrepresentation. And we thought it was apt because they're kind of themes that are relevant to women's reproductive health. So I thought it's a really good name for the project, and it's memorable as well, which probably helps.
So Chloe, why is animal-free research so important to you personally?
So I think personally that animal-free research is so important because ethically it's really important to me to reduce the number of animals used in research. And I have actually always wanted to kind of steer away from animal work in general, which sometimes can be tricky when you're looking for jobs as well. So I did have that issue when I was finishing my PhD. I wanted to then try and find work in cancer research, but most jobs actually came up as a requirement is like to do in vivo work, and it has always been something I know I don't want to do. So in that way it's really important for me, and I feel very lucky in the lab that I'm in just now that our focus is on in vitro modelling. I do look forward to kind of taking that next step from just in vitro models to completely animal free, as not using products like FPS or the antibodies that are from animals. But yeah,
like you say, that's such a common issue. Being able to find a lab that doesn't make you do animal testing. That's the exact same thing that I went through as well. It's difficult because it can make you wonder if you maybe don't want to do research anymore, if you're kind of pushed into that space where it's kind of, it's that or nothing. So no, that's amazing that you kind of, started your own animal-free methods, and, that's fantastic. So well done on getting the funding. So obviously we talked a little bit there about how, under-researched women's health is. So what do you think that the benefit for patients will be from your work? I know you're right at the beginning, just starting this off, but what do you think you'll be able to get out of this?
I think many things. So for me, I think just having that fundamental understanding of one, because I just feel like we know so little, or the things that we do know is not widely known. There's so many things I wish I had known when I was younger, because I've also gone through some health problems in that area as well. And I wish, looking back, that if I had known that maybe I could have got diagnosed sooner, or it wouldn't have escalated to the point I had to have surgery just in the month running up to me submitting my PhD. And so it meant that I actually lost like one half of my reproductive system. So I was left with just one ovary working. So in that way, I just think if we can do more research, it can help us all understand when there is an issue. And then the second would be that this work could really help diagnosis. So if we know more about these conditions and just basic health, then we could design better diagnostic tools. So then we can pick up on people before they get to this like serious stage, And then third, again, if we know more about the different conditions for women's reproductive health, then we can design new therapeutics. And I think these models in the lab are a great tool to start with. We can test new drugs. We can compare a healthy model compared to a disease model and find new biomarkers. So yeah, there's so many different aspects. And I think, we could target it from a scientific viewpoint, but then also I would like to do a little bit more public engagement and trying to teach, the next generation about, what to look out for and how to advocate for themselves when they do go to the doctors.
Sounds like this is really personal for you, Chloe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm very excited to be able to start some research into this area because, it does feel very important to me. And I feel very fortunate because I have been lucky enough to have a child since, so for me, it didn't actually affect my fertility, which I was very lucky, but I know for others, they aren't so lucky. So it would be amazing to contribute something,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're so delighted to be able to support that, Chloe, because you're clearly so passionate. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. Before we let you go, just though, why do you think it's important for us to be doing these regional communities, to be part of a Scottish community? Because that would be really useful feedback for me and Jono.
I think these events are really good to get new collaborations, so if we can collaborate with other people that are not even that far away, or even sometimes within the same university, they'll have a new perspective that they can add to your research, or they probably have the answer to some of the issues that you've had in the lab that you just don't know. So in that way, that's really useful to be talking to each other.
I really appreciate you describing the community like that, Chloe, where, as I said on the day, it's not just LinkedIn contacts or people that you meet at a conference. It's actually people that you go on your scientific journey with, relationshiping with them and learning from them, sharing knowledge, sharing things that do and don't work. Like Fiona spoke about how many of the experiments that she was doing, there were a lot of things that didn't work, but that's all a part of the journey, and sharing that. And just being able to support each other in that process. I think it is so needed to know that you're not alone in the journey, think there's still a lot of people who are starting this human-specific animal-free research at an early stage. It's still very up and coming, you could say, in the scientific arena, and something that we want to really encourage scientists to know that they're not alone. There are other researchers, some who are very advanced in their journey, who are there to support early and mid-career researchers. And I think it was just a fantastic day, and you described it well with what the community is there for. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much for coming onto the Animal Free Labcast and chatting with me and Gemma. Thank you for the incredible work that you're doing, Chloe. Thank you, Jono, for all the brilliant communities that you're helping to establish around the country. And hopefully we'll have you on again and we can talk to people from the next community that we set up.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Carla.
Chloe, it'd be great if you could come on and tell us about your research when you're a bit further down the line as well.
Yeah, I would love to. It would be really nice to come back and share what we found.
Yeah, we'd love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for in this episode, but we're going to be back with a special episode with Kirsty Gallagher, who you'll know from the telly and the radio, for World Animal Free Research Day, which is the 27th of May. But before we do that, Gemma, myth or fact? Sorry, I really have to stop that. Also, sorry for the sniffing as well throughout. I've had to mute because of hay fever. Oh, horrible.
It is.
We should commission some research into that, actually.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's a thought. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'll let you go with it. Myth or fact? What is the Mythbuster?
Yeah, so this week's Mythbuster, thinking about Scotland and our Scottish community. But Scotland carries out fewer animal experiments than any other country in Great Britain. Myth or fact? So that's Scotland carries out fewer animal experiments than any other country in Great Britain. Myth or fact? So you can vote on our website. You can also find the link in the podcast email that comes out on a Thursday. And there's also links on our social media. And I'll tell you the answer in the next episode. If you've got any questions or would like to get in touch about anything else, then please do drop us an email at hello@animalfreeresearchuk.org, and we might feature your comments in a future episode.
Well, that's all we've got time for this time. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.